Welcome everyone. Today, we're going to explore some important concepts that will help us understand our topic more deeply. Throughout this presentation, I'll guide you through key points and insights that are essential for grasping the full picture. So, let's dive in and start uncovering what's ahead. In this first slide, I want to clarify that a literature review is not just a collection of summaries. It is a systematic and rigorous synthesis of existing empirical knowledge. My goal here is to help you use existing research to justify why your specific proposed study is necessary for the nursing profession. I structure this workflow into four distinct nodes: building a skeleton, discovery, critical appraisal, and the matrix. I want you to remember the key wayfinding rule. You must separate the act of collecting literature from the act of reading it to avoid becoming overwhelmed too early. On this slide, we focus on understanding the core structure that guides our approach. While it might seem simple, the layout here is important because it sets the foundation for how we organize information. By keeping this structure clear and straightforward, we ensure that our message comes across effectively and without distractions. This simplicity helps us stay focused on what's most relevant as we move forward. I recommend you do not face a blank page alone. I want you to use AI tools as brainstorming partners to establish your main points and bridge your clinical observations with global goals like the UN SDGs or national priorities like NURA. Here, I am showing you what the interface looks like when you initiate that conversation. It's about collaborative outline generation, using technology to map out the potential territory of your variables. As an example, we'll thoroughly review the existing literature related to how social media influences health-seeking behavior among senior citizens. We'll start by exploring key theories on health communication and media use in older adults. Then we'll examine studies that show the positive and negative impacts of social media on seniors' decisions to seek medical help or health information. Next, we'll look at barriers and facilitators that affect their engagement with online health resources. Finally, we'll identify gaps in current research to highlight areas needing further exploration. This structure will give us a comprehensive understanding of the topic and inform our study's direction. This is an example of what the AI might return: a structured outline covering theoretical frameworks, digital adoption trends, and synthesis sections. I use this to help you visualize the skeleton you will eventually fill with real evidence. Based on the scenario from the previous slide, we dive into a comprehensive review of the existing literature related to our study. We start with an introduction that outlines the scope and structure, setting the foundation for what's ahead. Then, we move on to the theoretical framework, covering key models like the health belief model, technology acceptance model, UTOT, and uses and gratifications theory, which help explain how people interact with health information and technology. Next, we explore the digital media landscapes, specifically for the elderly, examining trends in digital adoption among seniors and how social media serves as a critical hub for health information. We also look at patterns in health-seeking behavior among older adults, including how they seek information, support, and professional care. The chapter then addresses the impact of social media on health outcomes, highlighting both positive influences and risks such as misinformation. We also consider factors that moderate and mediate these effects, including demographics, digital health literacy, and trust in information sources. Finally, we synthesize the findings to identify existing research gaps and demonstrate how these insights relate to our current study. This sets the stage for understanding the broader context and significance of our work. I must emphasize that while AI is great for brainstorming, you must use guardrails. I want you to color code your draft, red for AI-generated text that needs verification, and green for your group's original clinical synthesis and real verifiable sources. To search effectively, I need you to deconstruct your variables using PICO for quantitative or PICO for qualitative research. I recommend brainstorming synonyms for every variable. For example, if you are studying oncology nurses, also search for palliative care staff. I want you to use Boolean logic to control your results and to narrow your search to specific overlaps. Oregon to broaden your results with synonyms and not to exclude irrelevant groups like physicians if you only want to study nurses. I advise you to move beyond basic search engines and use credible databases. Use Cinehealth for nursing-specific work, PubMed for biomedical interventions, and Herden Plus to ensure your work aligns with Philippine national health objectives. I want you to use the ancestry approach to chase footnotes backward in time to find foundational papers. Then, use the descendancy approach via citation indexes to see which recent studies have built upon those foundations. Before you begin deep reading, I need you to organize your findings. I recommend creating a digital repository in Zotero or Mendeley where you systematically label and folder your PDFs. I use this funnel to help you filter out the noise. We will move from raw search results through filters for time and peer review, population alignment, and finally, study design and rigor. On this slide, we are focusing on the process of rapid screening, which is essential for quickly evaluating large volumes of research. The key step here is to check both the title and the abstract of each paper. This allows us to efficiently determine whether the study is relevant to our specific research questions or criteria without having to read through the entire document. By applying this method, we save time and ensure that only the most pertinent studies move forward to a more detailed review. Once you pass the abstract, I need you to read the full article. Here, you ensure the study matches your exact PICO parameters. For instance, if you are studying geriatrics, you must exclude pediatric cohorts. Here we focus on the concept of full text evaluation, which is an essential process in many areas such as document analysis and information retrieval. Full text evaluation involves examining the entire content of a document rather than just summaries or excerpts. This comprehensive approach helps us gain deeper insights and ensures more accurate results when assessing the quality, relevance, or meaning of the text. By fully evaluating the text, we can better understand context, nuances, and details that might otherwise be missed. I require you to record every step of this process. You must document the number of studies identified, screened, and excluded. This transparency is what makes your literature review reproducible and scientific. Here, we're focusing on the importance of documenting the flow of studies throughout the review process. It's essential to record how many studies were identified initially, how many we screened, and just as importantly, how many were excluded along the way, along with the reasons for their exclusion. This transparency helps ensure the rigor of our review and allows others to understand the decision-making process behind selecting the final studies. We are looking for a local-global balance. Use international studies for broad standards and local studies for regional nuances. We also want you to prioritize primary empirical research over secondary summaries. To practice this, I've designed a drill where you read an abstract and decide its fate in 5 minutes. You will either trash predatory or irrelevant work, inquire further if the methodology is unclear, or keep high-quality empirical studies for your reference manager. I want to reiterate the golden rule of research. 1. Map the literature to establish pathways and spot potential gaps. Only begin deep reading once your repository is clean and folders are labeled. We will use this 13-column dashboard to log your accepted studies. By organizing your sources by metadata, methodology, and findings, you can see the whole state of knowledge rather than just separate summaries. Here is an example using a study by Santos and Cruz, 2024. By logging their findings on telehealth apps, you can identify a critical gap. They didn't assess how poor internet in isolated Philippine barangays affects utility. My final takeaway for this section is that a literature review is the systematic justification of your clinical curiosity. By filling out your matrix, you will see exactly where previous research stops, and that is exactly where your research will begin. Now we shift from collecting to writing. I want to help you master APA 7th edition to move from mechanical rules to seamless scholarly prose. Citation is about identifying origins and integrating sources smoothly into your narrative. We aren't just inserting citations mechanically, we are combining diverse perspectives into a unified argument. I've provided this matrix for quick formatting. One author is Smith 2020. Two authors use the ampersand, Johnson and Lee 2019. And for three or more, I want you to use DTL from the very first citation, the formula for a journal reference. Author, year, when, title, what, and journal info, where. Remember to use sentence case. For article titles, only the first word and proper nouns are capitalized. In this slide, I'm showing you how the formula changes slightly for different media. We italicize book and web page titles, and for platforms like YouTube, we include the creator and bracket the media type. For your final page, I need it titled References, bold, centered, alphabetized by the author's last name, and using hanging indents for every entry. It is required to cite the original source whenever possible and avoid secondary citations. However, we do not cite common knowledge. Facts like the Philippines being in Southeast Asia do not need a citation. We will use the precision dial. Paraphrasing requires only the author and year. But if you copy exact words, I require maximum precision, including the page number. Please take note that parenthetical citations can disrupt your rhythm. I encourage you to mix styles. Use active subjects like CARE 1998 argue, or passive integration like as proposed by CARE 1998. We should avoid the red pepper approach, where you pepper every sentence with a citation. Instead, use the anchor. Place one citation after an entire block of ideas if they all come from the same source. To build a robust foundation, you have to synthesize sources from different continents. Combining perspectives from North America, Europe, Africa, and Asia creates a truly global and reproducible academic argument. We should avoid string citing, which just dumps names in a list. Better synthesis groups authors by sub-themes, explaining how the sources relate to one another to create a narrative of the literature. In this example, I am showing you how a citation can govern an entire conceptual block. By using thorough paraphrasing and active integration, the citation becomes part of the natural flow of the sentence. My final message is that proper citation is the architectural blueprint of academic rigor. It's about honoring creators, maintaining flow, and weaving perspectives into a singular, undeniable truth. As we wrap up, I want to thank you for your attention and participation. If you have any questions or need further clarification, please feel free to reach out. Your feedback and engagement are truly valued.